Hi there. This is my first time ever doing something like this. I've been feeling shattered for the past 2 weeks ever since the Discovery Day. I'll begin by sharing how everything fell apart and then talk about the challenges that ensued. I'm seeking opinions and advice since I don't have many friends and feel ashamed to discuss it with them. My girlfriend and I have been in a relationship for 8.5 years and have a 2.5-year-old daughter. For years I've had my suspicions, but over the past 4 months, I've been checking her Facebook page through an old phone that was still logged in. What caught my attention initially was her messaging guides for conversations, and 90% of them were after midnight. It wasn't anything too bad, just a simple, "Hey, how are you?" or "I miss your face," "Long time, no talk," and so on. However, there were a few instances where she gave them her phone number, indicating that she preferred to communicate outside of Facebook. I had no evidence that she was being unfaithful, and I didn't want to reveal that I was snooping through her Facebook account, so I kept quiet about it. Every few weeks, I would check her Facebook, and I began to notice that certain messages were deleted. I would receive a notification, but when I tried to access the message, it was gone. We first met at a party when we were younger, but I eventually cut back on partying as I landed a decent job that required me to work longer hours. Despite my concerns, she continued to frequent the bar every weekend. It was a local spot that many of our mutual friends, mostly hers but also some acquaintances of mine, would visit. About 70% of the time she would be accompanied by her brother or male friends whom I trusted, which made me feel at ease about her going there without me. However, in November I called her around 10 o'clock to inquire about her whereabouts and whether she was on her way back to me and our daughter. Her work at the store ended at 9 in the evening. After that, she sent me a text saying that she was planning to stop by the bar for a few drinks. While I was disappointed, it wasn't an unusual occurrence. Eventually, my daughter fell asleep around 11, and since I had been working since 3 in the morning, I ended up falling asleep as well. However, I woke up at 4:30 in the morning to find that she still wasn't home. Though this had happened before, I was still concerned, so I decided to call her. When I called her, she answered the phone while drunk and told me that things weren't going well. She mentioned that she was in the middle of talking to the police and had to hang up. Worried about her safety, I asked where she was so that I could try to help with the situation and prevent the car from being towed. She had been out drinking with a guy friend from the bar, who was also friends with her brothers and me. When I asked her where she was, she mentioned that she was taking him home, somewhere around his house. However, after speaking with her brother and trying to locate her, we eventually arrived at the scene. She had been arrested on charges of driving under the influence and was being taken to jail. The car had already been towed away and her guy friend was in the truck with her brother. To make matters worse, the car had been found in a random neighborhood nowhere near the guy's house. After my Wi-Fi was arrested for DUI and taken to jail, I was left to deal with the situation at hand. In the middle of the night, the car she had been driving was reported as suspicious, having been left running for hours. My main priority was to get her out of jail and retrieve the car. Once I had gotten home, I spoke with her brother to try and understand what had happened. He provided me with his friend's version of events, which conflicted with my girlfriend's account. After bonding her out of jail and hearing her side of the story, I realized that both parties were lying. It was clear that something was not right. When I confronted her about the inconsistencies in her story, she simply brushed it off as being too drunk to remember. I took her back home where she stayed with our daughter while I went with her brother to retrieve the car from impound. During the ride, I mentioned that the stories didn't add up and that I had my suspicions. Her brother shared my concerns but wanted to avoid jumping to conclusions. After arriving at the impound lot and opening the car door, my heart sank as I saw a pair of panties lying on the seat. It was a devastating moment for me. I showed her brother the panties that I had found in the car, and he too had his suspicions about what had happened. He mentioned that he was going to talk to the other guy to see if he could get more information. After we got the car back to our house, I checked the laundry basket to see if she had brought any panties home with her. I didn't find any, so I brought her outside to ask her about it. She claimed that she had recently stayed at her dad's house, and that the cops had gone through her clothes and taken the panties. I found her response to be suspicious, but I had no concrete evidence to prove that she was lying. She acted disgusted that I would even ask her about it. She looked me straight in the eyes and swore that she had never cheated on me. I apologized for doubting her, but explained that her behavior had made me suspicious, which led me to ask about it a few months later. In January, the day before my birthday, my best friend and his brother came over for drinks. I had a little too much and ended up passing out, but I couldn't shake off the feeling that my best friend's brother was checking out my girlfriend. Despite my doubts, I still took her to work as she couldn't drive at the time. After dropping her off at work, I couldn't shake off the suspicion that my best friend's brother was trying to hit on her through Facebook while I was sleeping. I decided to look through her old phone and Facebook page and noticed that he had messaged her, but she didn't really flirt back. However, I also discovered that she had set up 2 other guys on ghost mode, which automatically deleted their messages. They had been messaging her until 5:30 in the morning, and their conversations were quite lengthy. I found out that one of the guys she had been messaging was the same guy she was with the night she got arrested for DUI. The other guy was someone she had been conversing with for a few months, even before the DUI incident, and had been deleting his messages using the ghost mode feature. When I confronted her about the messages I found on her phone, she admitted to exchanging inappropriate messages with my friend's brother, but acted confused when I mentioned the other 2 guys. She apologized and confessed her love for me, begging me not to break up our family. However, I still had no solid proof and asked her to come clean about everything. I didn't reveal that the messages were deleted or that I had no other evidence besides what I saw on her phone. After discovering the messages on her phone, I confronted her about everything, including the DUI incident. She initially denied any wrongdoing, but eventually admitted to exchanging inappropriate messages with my friend's brother and the other 2 guys. She tried to downplay it, claiming that it was just dumb shit, but I pressed her for more details. I wanted to know what was said and to whom. When we got home, we continued to talk about it, trying to come to a resolution. I kept pressing her to confess, reminding her that I had seen the messages on her phone. Finally, she admitted to sleeping with the guy on the night of the DUI and that the other guy was just flirting with her at the pool table. She claimed that it was all meaningless and that she loved me. However, I couldn't shake off the feeling of betrayal and the fact that she had been lying to me for months. We tried to work through it, but it was difficult. It had been 2 weeks, and we were still struggling to come to terms with what had happened. I also forgot to mention that the guy at the pool table was a regular at the bar. She kept insisting that we move forward and not dwell on the past, but I couldn't shake off the feeling of betrayal and deception. I had invested so much into our relationship, but it seemed like everything was falling apart. I love her, but I don't know if I can trust her anymore. Despite all of this, I still agreed to try to make it work. However, the pain and hurt lingered, and it was difficult to move past it. The only thing keeping us together was our daughter, and I didn't want her to grow up in a broken family like I did. I'm torn between feeling weak for staying and strong for trying to make it work, she confesses. I know it would be easier to walk away, but I want to take the harder path and give it my all. The truth is, this is not the first time she's lied to me. She's made up excuses about phone numbers, claiming they belonged to her cousin when they were actually guys. She's also lied about her whereabouts before. In fact, her own brother even warned me that she was up to something when I pulled up to the bar. Recently, I saw her in her car with another guy, and she tried to brush it off like it was nothing. But it's hard to shake off the feeling that this all happened after our daughter was born, which I thought would have been a new beginning for us. But it seems like that wasn't the case. We have a lot going on in our lives right now, including a family death, but I can't help but feel curious about what's really going on. I'm lost, and could use some guidance. So I'm wondering if reaching out to the other guy is a bad idea or if it might give me some closure. What do you think?